In today's video, I want to dive into why I believe the World Economic Forum (WEF) has not been transparent with the public, especially considering recent developments. Klaus Schwab, the long-standing head of the organization famous for the controversial "You will own nothing and be happy" quote, recently announced his resignation, and this event ties into a larger picture involving cryptocurrencies and global financial restructuring. Many people see the WEF's influence as deeply concerning, especially given how intertwined it is with powerful corporations and international political agendas. For those unfamiliar, the WEF receives funding from thousands of companies worldwide, including pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer, who pay up to $628,000 per year for top-tier partnerships. Critics argue that this structure allows corporations to exert significant influence over global governance, effectively sidelining democratic processes. A 2021 article by Open Democracy highlighted how WEF-led projects such as COVAX involve major pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and GlaxoSmithKline and Bull, ways that lack transparency, raising questions about the true nature of these collaborations. The WEF frames these partnerships as necessary for multi-stakeholder dialogue, but many believe this is simply a way for large companies to buy policy influence. For instance, Pfizer's close ties to the WEF enabled it to establish broad, favorable relationships with governments worldwide. Beyond pharmaceuticals, the WEF is also working on reshaping global financial systems, including closer integration with China's banking infrastructure. This is particularly curious given the WEF's Western political foundations, suggesting that global elites are working together to create a financial system that centralizes control under their influence. Many believe these efforts are aimed at developing tools such as programmable digital currencies that can restrict personal financial freedoms. One especially troubling aspect is the WEF's supposed commitment to environmental causes, while it simultaneously accepts large sums of money from fossil fuel companies, undermining its public stance on climate issues. While the WEF insists it's a nonprofit dedicated to improving the state of the world, the reality appears far murkier. High-level figures affiliated with the organization have been embroiled in scandals, such as Jose Maria Figueres, who was found to have received nearly $1 million in unreported consulting payments from Alcatel to influence governmental decisions. These aren't isolated cases. Either many similar allegations exist, though not all have been fully investigated or proven. Moreover, the WEF promotes controversial financial mechanisms like carbon credits, which critics say are little more than a means for elites to profit off environmental concerns, essentially creating a global debt market masked as climate action. These carbon markets often benefit the rich while transferring the financial burden to taxpayers. Lastly, a visit to the WEF's website reveals a strong focus on China's financial future, where they openly support the country's efforts to liberalize its economy by removing restrictions on foreign ownership and easing entry barriers for international financial firms. This enthusiasm for China's financial integration, despite ongoing global concerns over its political system, signals what many see as clear favoritism and raises further suspicion about the WEF's real intentions. All of this adds up to a picture of an organization that, while presenting itself as a benevolent force for global cooperation, may in fact be playing a far more self-serving and manipulative role on the world stage. The forum is bringing together Chinese stakeholders and top global financial institutions as part of an initiative called Asterisk, the future of financial services in China and beyond Asterisk, aiming to explore how the current transitions in financial systems can be guided to build a strong, transparent, and efficient structure that benefits people, businesses, and the global economy alike. The core idea is to better integrate Chinese markets with the broader global financial ecosystem through collaborative work streams that bring together voices from both China and the West, thereby fostering mutual trust. However, some people find this entire movement a bit puzzling, especially the fact that it's largely being driven by powerful Western entities. Why now? Why is there such urgency to bring China deeper into the global capital markets? When you begin to look more closely, things start to add up. One possible reason is related to the growing debt problems in North America and Europe. Some believe that one way to address these issues is to allow a larger role for China, a country with significant economic weight, massive trade surpluses, and a dominant position in global trade, particularly with COSTER, Western countries. While Western nations hold massive debts, China accumulates reserves and wealth, often reinvested into its own economy. The result is that wealth is flowing out of Western markets and being concentrated in China, deepening the trade imbalances. Yet rather than directly tackling these discrepancies, the World Economic Forum seems to be advocating for increased financial integration, essentially granting China more influence in shaping global finance. This trend has been ongoing, but it's only now that the wider public is beginning to take notice. Some observers even see a link between Klaus Schwab stepping down from the WEF and these underlying financial shifts. A broader concern is the kind of financial and social systems being developed. Global banking has evolved rapidly due to technological advances, but the transformation in China has been the most radical and swift. The WEF appears to suggest that we must adapt by aligning more closely with China's evolving financial landscape. While it's true that we can learn from their innovations, many are wary of the implications, especially when it comes to digital surveillance, data privacy, and centralized control. There's a fear that integrating with China in this way may open the door to authoritarian financial oversight, like China's social credit system. These systems go far beyond traditional credit scoring, tracking everyday behavior, and assigning scores that determine access to services or public spaces. Actions as simple as jaywalking might result in facial recognition cameras lowering a person's score, thereby restricting their ability to travel, shop, or participate in society. Critics argue that by following the WEF's proposals, countries like the US, Canada, and European nations risk adopting similar systems under the guise of financial innovation, essentially trading personal freedoms for centralized economic control.